of Code-mas SAS gave to me this video about Git.
One of the main reasons to keep a history of your project is to be able to see what has changed. Diffing is what allows us to view those changes. There are two main commands, getDiff and getDiffTool. getDiff uses a built-in diff tool. It displays the text in the CLI window. It only provides meaningful results for text files. As you can see on the right, it tells you the name of the file being diffed. Lines that start with a plus were added or modified, and lines starting with minus were removed. It also makes generous use of color. Green for lines that are added and red for lines that are removed. For binary files, getDiff will just tell you that the file has changed, but that is it. getDiffTool will launch an external diff tool. You will have to set that up ahead of time using the git-config commands. You can also set a different diff tool per file extension using the .git attribute file. Google is your friend there. If you followed the installation instructions, you should have already installed and set up LabViewCompare. The window on the right is LVCompare. It opens the two VIs side by side along with a third window. The third window lists all the differences. If you click on one, it will highlight it in the code. When you are done, close the third window and everything should go away. You can use the getDiff and getDiffTool commands interchangeably. They have the same syntax. DiffTool has a few extra options that allow you to have multiple external diff tools and specify which one you want to use. By default, they both will show all files that have changed between the two commits. For a regular diff, it just displays all the diffs one after another as one big text blob. For the diff tool, it will prompt you for each file and you can choose to open the diff tool for that file or not. If you add two dashes, a space, and then a list of files to the end of the command, then it will only show diffs for those files. There are various syntax forms. Here are a couple. You can see the rest in the help. If you just type the command with no arguments, it shows you the working copy compared to what is staged. That is to say, it shows you what changes you have in your working copy that are not yet staged to be committed. If you specify --cached, it will compare what you have staged to the specified commit, which defaults to head. If you just give it one commit, it compares your working copy to that commit. If you give it two commits, it will compare those two commits. I am a big fan of the command line, but diffing is one spot where source tree may make more sense. Here we have a repository open in source tree. We are viewing the history. We've made some working copy changes, so we have this thing that looks like a commit, but says on-committed changes. If we select that, then on the bottom left, we have these two panes where we can see what files have been modified and what changes have been staged. To the right of that, there is a diff display. So you highlight a file in one of the panes on the left, and the diff shows up on the right. This compares the file to the commit that head is pointing to. If it's a text file, it just displays the diff. We'll see that in a second. Since we selected a binary file, we don't get to see a diff. However, if we click the little icon at the top right of that pane, we get a drop down that lets us select external diff. This will launch whatever external diff tool you have set up. Instead of selecting the uncommitted changes, you can select a specific commit. Doing that will change the display in the lower left two panes. The top pane shows info about the commit. This is the same info that you would get if you ran the get log command. The bottom pane shows all the changes that were introduced in that commit. This is comparing it against the previous commit. If you select a merge commit, it will show you all the changes going back to the last commit that the two branches had in common. Again, the bottom right panel is the same. Whatever file you select on the left, the diff will show up here. And you still have the button on the top right of this panel to launch the external diff tool. Now, to diff between two random commits is rather simple. You simply select one, then hold down Control and select the other. In the bottom left, the top pane clearly tells you which two commits you are comparing. The bottom left pane lists the changed files. The right pane is exactly the same as before. Here I've selected a text file so you can see what that looks like. There are a lot of right-click options in SourceTree, and they are always updating it. You may find more efficient ways to do some of these things. One shortcut worth noting is that if you want to diff your working copy against a specific reference, so a branch, a tag, or a remote tracking branch, you can right-click on that ref in the left pane and select Diff with Current. All that really does is highlight that ref and the ref your head is pointing to in the commit graph. And then SourceTree behaves just as if you had manually highlighted them both.